Welcome to Paint a Beautiful Picture. When you want to nurture cooperation in a child, what on earth do you do? Well, let's go with the opposite side of that, because there are a lot of ways to get your child to be resistant. When you nag a child, when you drive a child crazy, when you ignore a child and suddenly you're like, you need to blah, 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 blah," and you expect they're actually going to get up and do it, and you haven't said anything to them for days because you've been so busy in your own little world, occupied with all of your own concerns, and then suddenly you want them to do whatever, go outside and help you rake the leaves or come in the house and help you pick up all this stuff. Uh, what in the world are you thinking? They're not going to do it. You haven't even had any time to talk to them or be around them. They're not going to exactly be gung ho to jump up and cooperate with you. So, when you want to nurture cooperation in your child, you have to understand that the basis of cooperation for almost any of us is a relationship, an ongoing relationship. A complete stranger walks up to you and says, "Hey, I need you to come into my house and help me to rearrange all my furniture." You'd be like, "What is wrong with you, buddy? I don't even know you. Why would I do all this stuff? Why are you going to cooperate with someone's program and agenda when you don't have a relationship with you?" And the answer is, you ain't. Well, I have news for you, nor is your child. When you want to nurture cooperation in your child, you need to nurture a good, positive relationship with that child. When you want to nurture cooperation with any person whatsoever, you need to get them on board about the project. Okay. When you're at work and someone says, "Hey, you want to work on this project with me?" Like, yeah, probably not. I mean, you don't have a relationship with them and you're not that interested in the project. Why in the world would you cooperate? Well, the very exact same thing is true of your child. Now, let's go to high school, and you're going to have this group assignment. It's going to take four people. Who do you do it with? You do it with your buds, right? Because you have a relationship. You do it with somebody who's pretty smart in the class if you can get a hold of them. Why is that? Because you're interested in doing well on the project, and somebody with brains probably has, more likelihood to do well on it, especially if they really get the subject. Okay, so you definitely need to get them all in on it. Explain to them, look, over the weekend, we're going to be straightening up the yard, okay? We're going to be raking leaves and bagging up all this stuff, and I'm even going to get a chipper. We're going to take some of these lower branches and cut them off the trees. Yeah, we're going to be doing this, and I'm going to need your help. And when you want their cooperation, you get them on board with the project, okay? All right, if you're going to nurture cooperation in your child, you need to help them to understand the value of working alongside of someone else. A child who's really independently minded. We're talking that 3-year-old that was already doing the whole "I can do it myself" thing. By the time he's 9 or 10, if he's really that independent minded, it may be very difficult to get back a hold of him. And so you've got to deal with a child when they're very small and nurture cooperation in them and say to them, "I really need your help with this. You know how you need my help? You need my help when I drive you to the store, when I drive you over to your friend's house, when I feed you, when I cook for you, when I wash your clothes. We're cooperating together because I'm helping to make your life better. I also need your cooperation in helping me." So you sit a 3 or 4-year-old down while you're folding the clothes and you have them fold the washcloths, or you have them find the matching socks. That's always fun for little kids. And you know what? They may not do it just exactly the same as you. So you might have to learn how, in developing cooperation, to let go a little bit of all of your controlling ways and accept that once you show them how to fold the washcloth, if they fold them, I'll tell you the truth right now. I like mine to be folded the longer way and then the shorter way. But my one son didn't do it that way. I had to accept that he saw it his way and I saw it mine. There wasn't a perfect way. There was your way and my way. I could deal with his way. It's a washcloth. So get that 3 or 4-year-old to cooperate with you in helping to fold the clothes. Get that 3, 4, and 5-year-old to cooperate with you in picking up their room and making their bed. If their bed is not made perfectly, again, you might have to learn to relax a little bit. If they're pulling up the sheet, and they're straightening out the covers to the best of their ability. And they're putting their pillow up there, and they have their little critters all over the bed in this particular order, and they made the bed. Let the bed rest. They made the bed. If they're cooperating with you and picking up their room and keeping their room reasonably organized, and frankly, by the time they're 5 or 6 years old, in starting to put away some of their clothes. So once everything has been folded, me anyway, set it on the end of the bed, and they can cooperate with you, develop a sense and spirit of cooperation by putting their own clothes away. So what you're doing is you're developing in them the sense of cooperation in the home. I can be of help to you. We are helping one another out. Okay, now let's talk about cooperation on a more fun thing. Okay, so we'll talk about an art project. I crochet, I quilt, I a lot of things, but painting, now that's something that you can have cooperation with. All right, so I would literally tell my sons, so what color flowers do you think would look really pretty? Oh, I think these ones are pretty. Okay. Do you think they should have a long, skinny petal or a short, fat petal? Oh, I like those short, fat ones. Of course, my other son. Well, I like the long, skinny ones. Well, what do you think about if we do both? Where do you think this should go on the composition? And then, oh my goodness, though they didn't paint as neatly as I did, go ahead. Here's the brush. Let's see what you can do. We would do it together. Collages, especially, are amazing cooperative art projects because you can take a magazine and you don't have to cut them out. You can tear certain parts of the picture art out or elements of what you want the collage to be. Same thing with pieces of fabric. You can have them select what they think really looks cool, and you start putting this thing together, and you allow your child to participate with you in developing a really neat art project that you're going to end up hanging up on the wall or putting up in their bedroom or putting in the hallway and buying a decent frame for and showing everyone this is what we did. You are nurturing cooperation in your child. Okay, now we're going to talk about what your child really doesn't want to do because they don't like it so well. Okay, they have to wash the dishes and sweep the floor after dinner. They're 9 or 10 and they don't like it. And they're banging all over the kitchen. And if you have glass dishes, they're breaking stuff. They're trying to make sure they're not going to have to do this anymore. And they sweep the floor halfway and there's this big pile of trash over there. And you say to them, a job that's doing is worth doing well. And this is your responsibility. And if you are helping all of us in what's going on in this household, all of us live in a neater, nicer, more peaceful home. I need your cooperation in this process. I recognize it isn't your favorite thing to do, but do you know that all of us have to do things we don't really love to do? This is part of life. In nurturing and developing cooperation, it's understanding that there are some less preferable elements to what we have to do that still need to get done. So do them cheerfully, do them quickly, and do them well. And now it's over with. Okay, great. Help them to understand that's part of nurturing cooperation, that you have to do things you don't really love to do. All right. You also develop cooperation when you put them alongside of someone they don't necessarily get along with all that well. So if you have 4 or 5 children and you have one and another one who are frequently arguing with each other, who are like oil and vinegar, who just can't seem to get along, assign them a task together. This helps nurture cooperation because guess what? When you go to school and you're on a sports team, you're going to have to cooperate for the sake of the entire team to have an opportunity to do well and win with people you don't necessarily like, with people you probably wouldn't have chosen as your best bud. That's part of cooperation. And oh, let's be serious now. When you have a job, very often there are people that irritate you, that drive you a little crazy, that can anger you, that would never be your friend, but with whom you have to cooperate. You have to do that in order that you earn a paycheck and make a living. You have to do that in order that your product or your service or whatever your company is doing will succeed, because if they fail, you won't be getting a paycheck any longer. You have to cooperate very often in life with people who are not necessarily your favorite people or the very exact kind of people you would have chosen. All of us have to cooperate at various times with people who aren't what we thought we were going to have. And so they might as well learn how to cooperate with someone who isn't their all-time favorite person. And if that's not amongst siblings, then maybe you have someone in your neighborhood that your child is either friends with one of their siblings, but they don't love their little sister or their little brother. So, someone like that. Literally find a way to foster that cooperation by having your child and that child work alongside of each other on a project. So whether that's helping them to cut the lawn, or helping them pick up leaves, or helping them when you're trying to clean the windows or move the furniture in the house or paint your daughter's bedroom, whatever that might be, you are nurturing cooperation when you teach your child how to work alongside of someone with whom they don't normally get along. And this is a lifelong skill. They're going to need it. They're going to need it again and again. And so you're nurturing that sense of cooperation with them. Here's the last thing I want to tell you about this. All of us need to do this with ourselves too. If we're not having a great time, but this has got to get done, okay? After it's all over with, sometimes we need to reward ourselves. We'll take a weekend vacation, or we'll go out to eat a nice meal, or we'll buy a new pair of shoes. You need to explain to your child that there are rewards for cooperation. So you need to tell them, if you'll cooperate with this, if you'll participate with this, if you'll willingly get on board with this, at the end of all of this, then we will. So we'll go to McDonald's, because I never took my kids to McDonald's, or we'll go to the movies on Saturday, or we'll go out and buy you that new toy that you wanted. And you do not give them what you said if they do not cooperate. There is a reward for when you do it, and there's a price to be paid for when you don't. And you are developing and nurturing them what cooperation really is and what it means and how it looks. You don't get rewarded for junky behavior. You do get rewarded when you do it correctly. So you want to nurture that spirit of cooperation with your kids. Here's what you want them to know. A team who really learns how to cooperate together and effectively work alongside of one another often wins. But even if they don't win every time, they have the satisfaction of having had a smoothly working, well-oiled machine that functioned together and they did their very best. That's a great feeling. That is a wonderful internal motivator. And so you need to nurture that spirit of cooperation in your child and help them to understand they have the intrinsic value of the satisfaction of a job well done, and oftentimes they have the extrinsic value of a win and of a deeper relationship with the people they cooperated alongside of in terms of teamwork, and even often a reward that comes as the result of cooperation. My question for you today is, how am I doing at developing cooperation in my child? If you haven't done very well, I hope today's video is very helpful in giving you some insight in how you might develop a spirit of cooperation in your child. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will look forward to seeing you again soon. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.